XCOM Chimera Squad is almost like a mobile game version of XCOM 2, and I promise when I say this, I don't mean it as a bad thing. It's like an XCOM Lite, a bite-sized version of a squad-based strategy game that we all know and love. You can't go into this expecting all the features of a flagship title, but does that mean it's not worth your time or money? No, not at all. In fact, this title adds more to the formula and provides a completely different gameplay experience not offered in the other titles. The closest comparison is actually the Bureau XCOM Declassified, ASUS's third-person shooter spin on the formula. It still plays like classic XCOM, but the gameplay flow and mechanics are all so much more similar to that title that was released on PC and consoles in 2013. The first big change is that you can't create your own soldiers anymore. You still get customizable androids, but otherwise you've got a set squad of characters with defined classes and abilities. In fact, it's very similar to Agents of Mayhem in both characters and style. Some of the menus look identical, and I love this team-based Overwatch style take on XCOM. Some of the cast of characters are really memorable, and despite a lack of development, seeing their interactions with each other can give the game a lot of much needed charm that was missing with your create your own soldiers.
Hostiles never saw my approach, and judging by her facial expression, neither did Terminal.
Hey, you startled me. Your ugly mug has that effect on people.
A quick example of this is if you send your drone over from your medic to your Viper. Because the Viper hates robots, she'll make a comment on it and say that she doesn't want the drone going anywhere near her. And it's nice adding character to, well, the characters. Some of you may remember I did a series where I played through the XCOM games, basing my squad of soldiers around my friends on YouTube. This injected character into the soldiers and made the game so much more enjoyable, as normally they're just carbon copies, with the only stories being the ones you give them. That's no longer the case in Chimera Squad, and you may see that as either a good or a bad thing. Personally, I wouldn't like it to return as a common feature, but maybe they could combine systems and have specialist units in future XCOM games in addition to your own soldiers. Give them a story, voice acting and interactions with the other characters, and that would make XCOM 3 incredibly formidable. As for how the soldiers actually play, damn, I love them. Not only do we get fan-favourite returning abilities, but we get a load of all new ones, like a psychic riot shield and a psychic suplex and a psychic, well, lots of psychic stuff, really. It feels like souped up soldiers that are strong right off the bat. Remember that gunslinging sniper you trained up with a huge kill count in every sortie? Well, now you have loads of them. And you can still customise them, as you can choose their weapons and armour, as well as utility items like always, and the range is broader than ever. I should mention that your soldiers will use preset weapons, so what I said isn't technically true. Say Godmother will always use a shotgun. However, you can upgrade that shotgun and you can give it the mods that you want to tweak it your personal way. The only weapons you can customize are on the androids, which are basically if one of your soldiers dies, you'll have an android come in as a replacement, and you can give them whatever weapon you want. All these new tech gizmos lead on to my second new favourite feature, which is breaching.
Go, now! Making a path.
Every mission has multiple breach points, which make you feel like a super hot badass as you systematically assassinate enemies in various creative ways. This replaces the concealment system from XCOM 2 and makes every mission so much more engaging straight off the bat, launching into combat instead of sneaking your soldiers across the map and sticking them on Overwatch every turn. I will admit that it reduces the tension and adjusts the gameplay flow, but I think it's a great change for the better overall. Again, great if this could return in future titles, as it feels so visceral and awesome to do. Each breaching point has a variety of perks and debuffs, making picking each point more than just a case of where your soldiers start out, and it adds an extra layer of strategy. For once, you're not on a spaceship. You don't have to worry about base management as much, which some people will miss, but it means less time between encounters, so you can get thrown into the action more often. I remember when I made my series in XCOM 2, sometimes base management would take up to half an episode, and sometimes take up to half an hour, so I felt inclined to offer a time code so people could skip if they found it boring. You'll have none of that here. There is still management, but it's much more streamlined, focused more on training soldiers and R&D. There is still research and a city map to manage, with Unrest acting similar to the role of the Avatar Project Countdown. There's an option in the difficulty setting to extend that though, meaning less pressure and stress, so you can focus on where you deploy your squads and earning resources instead of reducing chaos to make sure you don't get an early game over by default. Throughout the city map you have 9 districts and you can assign research squads to each sector. You can upgrade these squads as well, and basically you can have a squad primarily to gain you credits, you can have one to gain you intel, which is how you get more squads, and you can also have a squad to gain Illyrium. So you can set this up however you want, and you can focus on which resources you want to earn, as well as reducing the panic level in each sector. If the panic level in a sector gets to the maximum, then city unrest will start going up, and this is basically a countdown to the end of the game. So, not great. Ideally, you don't want that to be going up. You have abilities on the city map to reduce the chaos in each sector, and also if you do a mission in that sector, it will reduce it. So overall you want to juggle which sectors you go to in order to reduce panic, and that way you won't accumulate city unrest throughout the game. So most of your focus will be in skirmishes throughout the city. You're no longer fighting off an invasion. The game is set 5 years after XCOM 2, so you get to see how the humans and aliens have integrated, and are mostly cooperating. You report to this Raven lookalike who basically takes the role of your Agent Bradford or your Dr. Varlin. She's like a combination between the two, and it's nice having a new character. I don't know much about her. As far as I know, they haven't given her a backstory, she just seems to be the new commander. Overall though, this approach to the world is a really different take, and it's refreshing to see. It also adds a Metal Gear Solid style twist of knocking out enemies with stun batons or tranquilizer ammo to get extra rewards. You're no longer out to kill, you want to try and keep the peace. This adds an extra layer of depth to the gameplay, and you can go in guns blazing if you want, as it's generally easier, but it will pay off in the long run to knock out enemies and take them prisoner. The one change I'll mention which I'm not so certain about is the game is now a turn-based order, with a Final Fantasy style ATB gauge dictating who will take turns, and they usually alternate between one of your characters then one of the enemy. I loved the feeling of a combined strike in XCOM 2, launching coordinated ambushes and then having the enemy carry out a series of counter-attacks. This is gone now, which makes it a little more realistic I guess, but I'm not really sure why they made this change. It at least increases the pace of the encounters, but that's the only positive I can think of. There's also not as much consequence for your actions. I had this one mission where I had 2 soldiers remaining, really far from the exit which I needed to evacuate them from, and there were 7 enemies about to make their turns with even more reinforcements on the way. So that's it, right? I lost my 2 soldiers? Nope. They did die, but you can no longer lose them, akin to casual mode on Fire Emblem. They do leave the battle with some scars, which give some very minor debuffs, like reduced will, which gives them increased chance to panic, or reduced crit chance, and then the scars can compound and get worse if they die again. You can fix these scars by retraining the soldiers, so the consequence is almost non-existent. Hell, you could tactically get your soldiers killed to complete a mission faster, and then back to normal after a couple of days retraining them. Straight back to square one. This is easily the worst change in my mind. They could have at least added an option for permadeath for characters who want a more classic experience. I mean, I remember in XCOM 2, and probably XCOM 1 as well actually, if one of your soldiers got killed in a mission, you could sometimes launch a mission to rescue that soldier, say they'd been taken prisoner by the aliens, and Christ, that would be so good with these characters. As they have unique personalities, the mission to rescue them could play out completely differently. Say, one of the more feisty characters could end up trying to escape themselves whilst you have to send in a squad and stop, like, reinforcements. So you could play one side of a mission where you're playing the captured operative, trying to escape on their own, take out enemies stealthily, and then you could also be playing the other side, where your squad is coming in, breaching from the outside and stopping reinforcements. So it could be like this back and forth, which I think would be great. Did I mention that you get all of this at a fraction of the price? Right now you can get Chimera Squad for just £8.50, which is crazy considering how polished and high quality it is. There's a load of content, and it doesn't require as much of a commitment both in price and hours as, say, XCOM 2 would. It feels like they're not going to be releasing DLC either, so this is very much a complete product for under only a tenner. For comparison, the XCOM 2 collection is currently priced at £96, which is crazy. I know it's more of a game, but more isn't always better. Hell, there have been times where I've really wanted to play XCOM, but it takes a very long time to get to the good stuff. You have to invest at least 15 to 20 hours before you start getting to the point in the game where your soldiers feel unique, you've developed their characters, you've got proper equipment. I would say XCOM, for most people, the first 5 to 10 hours are basically identical. You have a bunch of rookies with no abilities, you have very basic equipment. In terms of research, you can research, there's not much. You have to go down pretty much the same route. You upgrade your weapons, you upgrade your armor, you get a few attachments, and Chimera Squad just kind of strips it all down, makes it more basic. If you've ever thought, oh, I'd really love to play XCOM, but you just don't have the 40 to 50 hours it takes to complete a campaign, Chimera Squad is perfect. And I don't use the word perfect much, but I really mean it in this case. When I saw the announcement for Chimera Squad, I bought it in an instant. It's a new take on it for a cheap price. It's got the same engine as XCOM 2, so the graphics look great, the animations are a bit janky, and sometimes the camera will glitch into a wall, but otherwise you're getting a very great experience from this at a very cheap price. So, those are my thoughts on the game. Like, that's the review, over and done with. It's got its flaws, but much like the previous review I did for Pong Quest, it's a cheap game, it knows what it's trying to be, and it gives you a trimmed down short experience. I know we're all in lockdown at the moment, but not all of us have time to play games, and once life goes back to normal, we'll have even less time to do so. If you're interested in getting Chimera Squad, I do actually have an affiliate link. I bought the game with my own money, but now I'm partnered with Chimera, and through Green Man Games, you can buy XCOM Chimera Squad completely DRM free, and you can give me a little tidy profit at the same time. So, I'm a dictator, do what I say, buy the game in the description, give me money, and I will give none of it back to you. In fact, you owe me. I mean, I'm making free content on YouTube. You should be donating. You should be giving me money all the time. You are leeches. That's what you are. You're fucking... I mean, come on. I give you free entertainment, and I work hard. It takes a lot of time to sit in my pajamas, lie down in bed, and play video games for you guys. Don't you think you owe me? You're getting free entertainment. Screw the adverts. I know you're watching adverts. I know you're giving me ad revenue. But really, is £8.50 too much to ask? Get off your asses and help me, Jesus Christ. Just for clarity, before that clip goes viral and is completely taken out of context, I was not joking, I meant every single word of it. Seriously though, it'd be cool if you could buy the game through my link, and hell, I have considered making a series on Chimera Squad, because I know my XCOM series was pretty popular, I know people liked it, so if there's enough interest in it, I'll consider doing that. I can turn one into Rage, I can turn one into Hollow, I can turn one into Emily. In fact, it'll be pretty easy to decide which are which. Anyway, to answer the question, is XCOM Chimera Squad a worthy mainline XCOM game? Yeah, I completely recommend it. I was surprised at how many new features it had introduced, new mechanics and refinements to the gameplay formula. I know it's taken some stuff away, I can't deny that, but the stuff it has taken away, I think they've had a reason for doing it. It's for streamlining the game, it's for turning it into a smaller experience, and also, like, it would be very difficult to have a concealment mechanic and then also a breach mechanic. Like, the two conflict, they clash, they wouldn't work well with each other, so they've had to take concealment away and exploration before missions in order to implement this new breaching mechanic, which I still think is awesome as hell. I mean, just look at this. I think a lot of the features introduced in Chimera Squad won't be returning in future XCOM games. I think maybe the breaching mechanic, and maybe the specialist heroes, but otherwise there's a lot here which will only be here. For example, the city map I think is a neat idea, and the way you send out your APC using the same animation every time, it must be a very skilled driver. I know I compared it to a mobile game, but that's only in the sense that when you have a mobile game made of a main title like Fire Emblem, it's usually very bite-sized. It takes the core mechanics, it refines them, it polishes them, and it takes out all the clutter and the mess that makes up the game. In case any of you are here for the first time or haven't seen my XCOM series, a lot of people really liked it, so I'm gonna go out on a limb here and recommend that playlist. It's all in a playlist, you can watch the episodes back to back. They're very great for just running in the background if you're interested. Hell, if you've already seen it, they're a great rewatch. In fact, my fiancée Katlia is watching through them, and she's still really enjoying them, despite having seen them before already. So I reckon they have a lot of replay value, which is a testament to the game more than anything. If you are new here, then it'd be great if you can subscribe. I like the idea of going and finding games which a lot of people will overlook, and then recommending them. So, question for the day. If you have XCOM Chimera Squad, what do you like about it? Do you think it's a worthy XCOM game? If you don't have Chimera Squad, then the question is, what are you doing with your life? Why have you not clicked on my affiliate link and bought the game? I should probably drop this act before I start taking it seriously myself. I am your alien overlord, Evans111. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stick around. There's some great stuff coming on the way, some videos that I'm really proud of, and I cannot wait to show you what they are. So, have a great day, wash your hands, stay safe, don't get bound by this Viper alien. It can be pretty painful, trust me, I've seen it happen. And have a great day. I know I've said that twice, but it's a tough time right now. Have a great day again. Peace.